Right, lads, we're back again. This week, UFC Vegas 108. We're back in the Apex. We're back to kind of break down a bit of a weak card. Not on paper, yes, but I think there's some other bangers inside this one. Last week we didn't do too badly. The Aka let down again because Carlos Leal walked in and got absolutely dominated by what's his name? Mascom Solikov inside like the first round. Muslim Solikov hit him in like the first 60 seconds of the fight, knocked him out. So can't really do anything about that, but the lock landed, most of the underdogs landed, Ricci with a great finish. But look, I'm not going to waste too much time. Let's just move down, let's get into lock of the week. So yes, lads, this week's lock of the week is going to be Neil Magny. Now, I think all of the MMA community is disrespecting Neil Magny to no extent this week. I think it's kind of ridiculous. Neil Magny's coming in with the most wins in welterweight history. Neil Magny's coming in as 22 wins in UFC history in welterweight, the most possible. He's only faced killers. Look at his actual record. He's only lost to Carlos Prates and Ian Gary in the last 3 years. 2 killers, 2 top 15s. He's a guard of top 15 now, and there's no real argument about that. His finish on Mike Malott is the legendary Mike Malott. Hammered him for the whole fight and lost at the last 60 seconds because Canadians will be Canadians. It's not much of a shock. Alessio Dos Santos, to me, is someone who has very, very low moments in MMA, very, very low IQ. He could have won a lot of these fights that he's had. The draws he's had, he's really just kind of let slip in the third round. He's someone that just either doesn't listen to his corner, or else it's kind of his corner gives him sort of stuff and he just doesn't listen. Now, personally, I could see the argument that Neil Magny's chin is gone. I don't think so. I think that he faced Carlos Prates, who is a fucking killer. I think anyone who stands in front of Prates is hitting the mat. Gary got it. Anyone who's faced got it. The only person out around one with him is the Leech, but the Leech has a dynamite chin, so that wasn't much of a shock. He still finished him in the second round. To me, I think the kind of ways to win this for Neil is to try and stay on the outside, keep the leg kicks going. He is very, very good at those. And he has underrated grappling, in my opinion. I think he can grapple pretty well in this. Yeah, so Neil Magny's coming in here, the 38-year-old, the older fighter out of the two. But if you're being honest, like, Capoeira has lost some strange fights. He's lost to Shiddy, he's lost to he's beaten Zach Scoggins, but like, I mean, that was a 4-month replacement. He hasn't exactly beaten anyone in MMA. I'm still a faith in Neil Magny. I think he is on a 2-fight schedule for the first time in 12 years, but he's also faced 2 killers. It's really not much of a shock of Michael Morales and Carlos Prates and Ian Gary. He's faced basically all of his losses is against the best. You go back 5 years, he's beaten Robbie Lawler, he's taken out, like, but if you were genuinely, I don't do this too much on the video, but if you were genuinely to go look, where is it? Neil Magny's actual career, 29-13. Of course, he's taken 22 wins. He's lost to Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, Ian Gary, and Gilbert Burns. And that's in the last 5 years. Shavkat Ramonov. This man has just faced basically every top contender besides probably Chiesa, but even at that time, Chiesa was probably still ranked about 7th or 8th. He's taken out Max Griffin, Jeff Neal, Hansa Steele, Robbie Lawler, D-Rod, Phil Rowe, Mike Malott. And personally, in my opinion, I understand he's getting older. I get that. Are any of these better? Like, does anyone actually believe Capoeira is better than any of them? No, I don't. I genuinely think that he's pretty poor, makes low IQ moments. I think 29-28. Give me Neil Magny, easy as piss. Let's move on. We'll move into the favourites, or the ACA part of the video. Now, originally I am going to start by taking the 2 Argentinians. That's Kevin Villegas. We'll start with him first. I think Villegas, as I said. The Argentinians are on a rise a bit in MMA. It used to just be Ponzinibbio, but now we have Weetabix, Villegas, Aline Perez. Obviously still the Argentinian dagger, and it's going to keep going because Argentina seem to be an underrated nation for the sport. But Kevin Villegas is coming in here against Danny Silva. Now, personally, in my opinion, I'm picking Kevin Villegas. He is only 23. El Chino, he is, he has 11 knockouts. He is only 23, which is kind of crazy to say. He's born in 08. That just sounds really strange to say. Or sorry, he's not born in 08, sorry, he's born in 2001, sorry, that's completely wrong. Still sounds really weird to say someone's born in 2001. He's coming in off wins off Soho Choi and Cameron Tiang, both off the Contender Series and in the UFC. Look, to me, I think Danny Silva's actually quite good. I think he's a young sort of guy, but I just don't think his wins kind of scratch up like Josh Calabaw and Lucas Almeida are not really caliber of the UFC that you really want to see. I think Vahejas comes in here, takes it out in round 1 or 2. I think his boxing was overwhelmed Danny. I think Danny will try to wrestle a bit more. I think Vahejas will be able to stay on his feet, be able to win this pretty comfortably. Definitely think a finish is incoming. It's probably odds on. But next we'll move into Esteban Ribicis. I'm just going to call him Weetabix because that's how close his name is. So look, Weetabix here, he's coming in as a massive massive favourite. Both of these lads are, obviously. He's coming in against Elvis Brenner. Now personally, Elvis Brenner is a bit of a dog, so he comes from the Shoot Box Academy. He trains with Charles Oliveira. He is in a 2-fight skid from Miteb Orlabay and Joel Alvarez. 2 losses that no one can say anything about. They're 2 hard people. Of course, his fight against Gidzum Chamadze, where he got his whole head split open but came back into the fight, was a great comeback. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I think Weetabix is just a bit too good. Weetabix's career also doesn't really make any sense to me, considering the man beats Daniel Zellhuber on Noche, loses to Haspat in an arguable decision. I do think Haspat did win that night, but it was arguable to where he has 2 fights in a night to beat Daniel Zellhuber. He's back in the Apex and Daniel Zellhuber gets on the last main card. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but El Gringo is coming in here with Weetabix. I think they takes out his opponent, Bremer. I think this is probably a firefight, pretty quick stuff. I don't think this makes it out of the first round. If it does, I still think he wins it by decision, but I think there's an early finish in it. I think the fire of both men will be there. I think Ribas probably has some way a head kick, keeps him at distance, and probably just beats him on the feet by distance. Don't there be too much grappling in between them. That's kind of how Hasprat took him down, so hopefully he's trained it a lot more, but I'm sure he has. Next we move into Rafael Esteram. Now Esteram is fighting Philippe Burns. Now personally I just think Esteram, he's 13-0. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He's taking Charles Johnson, Aguilar. Now, he has agreed one of these fights over the weight limit, so that does kind of weigh him down a bit. But to me, I just don't think Felipe Burns is very good. Felipe Burns, he's lost to Josh Van. Nothing really wrong with that at all inside the sport and Jose Johnson. But it's just one of these things where I just don't see a way that he can win it. I think Rafael Esteram has everything going for him. The grappling, the striking, it's all in his favour. I think 30-27, I don't think there's a finish in it exactly. The flyweight division's wide open, so if he wins another one, goes 14-0, he'd definitely get a ranked fighter. I think that's going to be the opportunity. And next we'll go actually a bit different here, because I can't fully pick with full confidence on a lot of these fighters. I will do a full card breakdown tomorrow. I'm actually at a wedding on Friday, so I won't be able to do anything else, but we are going to look at this. I'm going to go under 1.5 rounds in Rodolfo Vieira versus Tyson Gore. Now personally, to me, Tyson Gore is maybe one of the worst fighters to still be currently signed on the roster. He's 2-3, and realistically he's only beaten Josh Fremd and Antonio Taluli. Not great. Lost to Cody Brundage, Brian Battle and Marcus Tulio. This is probably a bit of a, you win, you stay. Probably a bit of a learn Chinese buddy, see you later on the regional scene to both of these fighters, to whoever loses. Now personally, in my opinion, I think Vieira wins this. He's the black belt hunter. I think there's a very probably easy submission coming here, like he's done to a lot of people. He seems to have a lot of arm triangle chokes, but again, I do believe that there's a pretty easy submission coming for him. Takes him down the first round, grabs the submission. Under 1.5, I don't think this gets out of it. There are 2 danger men on the ground, but I do think Rodolfo Vieira clearly has the advantage. He'll submit Tyson Gore, and then it's back to the regional scene buddies. So I think that's pretty easy. Next we'll move into the underdogs. Now the underdogs this week are going to be quite a bit different, because look, you'll see this in the full card breakdown, but I don't think there's a lot of major players this week inside MMA that much. There's not a massive amount available. There's not crazy amounts. But look, we'll start with Kathleen Souza. Now look, I'm picking Kathleen Souza. She has the UFC experience on her side. She's 15-5. She is the younger fighter between the two of them. She's 29. She's 2-2. She only lost to Angela Hill and Curtin Silva. Neil Barter, but Curtin Silva's probably going to fight for the belt next and possibly win it. Don't shoot the messenger, but possibly win it. And then you obviously lose to Overkill. Angela Hill, even at 42, Overkill's still really good at getting the decision. She can grind out a good 15 minutes. Now, she's been able to submit Yasmin Huga and beat a Manic Man. She's coming in against Taria Rodriguez. Now, personally, in my opinion, she's 3-2, and I think Taria Rodriguez makes very, very low IQ sort of moments. She's been disqualified for intentional headbutts. She's been armbarred, where she probably could have got her arm out. She has only beaten Sam Hughes and Justine Knudsen, where she was able to use great wrestling against Knudsen. But I do think the main issue is Knudsen didn't know how to get up. I think if she tries these takedowns against Souza can easily catch her in a submission. This is why I'm going to play a second play on Souza here and give her 12-1 submission. I'm going to fire on that as well. I think that could be the biggest cash of the night. I think that there's a massive chance for a submission inside this fight. But next we're moving to Nick Klein. Now, personally, to me, Nick Klein, I liked him since he came off the Contender Series. I like the way he fights. He's explosive. He's basically looks a lot like Sean O'Malley, blue collar. He is 1-0 in the UFC, and it was strikes against the cage against Mansour Abdul Malik. Now, being fair to Abdul Malik, he has dynamite power in his hands, so really that isn't much of a shock. He got a really, really fast submission on the Contender Series to get this contract. He submitted a lot of people on the regional scene. I just don't think Andre Paluski, the person he's fighting, is that good either. Losing to CLD is not exactly a great start to your UFC career, in my opinion. He's not spectacular. I could see this being another firefight. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes on this card. I think Nick Klein comes in here, basically uses just the explosiveness that he has. There's not much of a reach advantage, I'm pretty sure, between them, because it's 6'4" fight and 6'1", so yeah, the reach advantage is actually an inch to Petreski. But at the same time, I could say that this leaves Long Limbs in for submissions. I think this is another submission artist. I do think Nick Klein has more power in his hands to drop him and then drop into a sort of submission. He has a very, very good rear neck choke, so if it hits the mat, I do think Nick Klein wins this one. I personally think Nick Klein takes it by submission or by a finish. If it does go to decision, I can see Nick Klein being able to grind out a fair 15 minutes, and that's just it. But next we're going to Chris Duncan. Now, Chris Duncan is a really strange one to me, because personally, I would have locked him. The problem that I have with him, as he's the problem, that's his nickname. But no, the reason I haven't locked him is I feel more confident in Neil Magny. But again, he's taken out Omar Morais, Yunus Azun. He's only lost to Miguel Torres, that Bole Coley submission, and another guillotine. He has a really, really good guillotine, to be honest. Now, look, Rubeski obviously beat Ordabai on the last one, so he's obviously high up on the stocks, and he's only lost to Diego Ferreira. But his sort of catalogue of who he's actually beat, in my opinion, just isn't as strong. Like, I mean, he's picking out Rubeski, but it's the badder one, it's not the brother. And he's taking out Roosevelt Roberts, of course, Ora Bikes, he got too tired, and Nick Fury. He does have holes in his game. They even showed in the Ora fight that he will go for takedowns when he's shot in stamina and just try to hold. Try that against Chris Duncan. There's definitely going to be a submission. He is someone to try actively get up off his back. He has the better striking, in my opinion, in this fight. I do think the grappling's very similar, but again, if you get caught in a guillotine, it seems to be you, as you know, as Paul Craig says, you either snap, tap or nap, and it seems to be, you know, Scottish MMA, Scottish BBJ has always been on top, strangely. So if this hits the mat, and I do think it possibly has a chance, Chris Duncan takes this, in my opinion. I think Chris Duncan, I do see it going to decision. I see a 29-28 Duncan. I think he's just able to outwork him, stay on the feet, stop the takedowns in the third, maybe even end up on top, end on the round solid if there is no finish. But I am expecting a lot of finishes on this card. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. We'll go look at the ACA. So here we are. So if we got Rafael Demis, we go under 1.5 inside the Tyson Gore fight. We throw in Vejas and Weetabix. We will get back 10 on 47 back. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the best sort of option for the actual ACA. And anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.